Well, hello. Today I want to talk to you about a little history about real estate. And the reason why I want to do that is because I'm trying to convey why real estate is a unique asset class that's worthy of being studied and researched and observed independently of all others. A couple things to keep in mind, or some things you should be aware of. One is, it is typically considered the case that real estate has relatively high peaks and low troughs. Okay, and there's a reason for that, which I'm going to illustrate here in just a little bit. Furthermore, real estate doesn't fit traditional micro themes very well. Micro themes say when there's some sort of a shock, how do we react? How do the market participants react? Well, they react by either increasing or decreasing supply. And when you listen to microeconomic lectures, typically what they'll tell you is that's just done almost instantaneously. So if there's an increase in demand, we'll just make more widgets. And if demand falls through the floor, we'll lay everybody off and cut production. But in real estate, there is a specific component that makes it unique in regards to how it responds to the market. So consider this. I'm going to shock the market for a moment, real simply. Think about the Amazon location in Nova, up in Northern Virginia. The moment that was announced, the moment that they said they were going to the Dulles area, what happened to real estate? What happened to the housing market? What happened to the commercial real estate market? What happened to the real estate market in that area in general? What I want you to do for a moment is I want you to pause the video and I want you to articulate, either write it down or in your mind, exactly what you think happened. And then when you come back, I'm going to give you a reason to explain very likely what you thought. And it's in this picture right here, a really simple little graph. So let's do our typical XY, and this is price. And for what it's worth, we're just going to use houses today. And it's equally useful for other segments of the real estate. All right, so that's price, and this is stock. And so what I've illustrated here is Amazon says, we're going to locate in that specific area in Northern Virginia. So what do you suppose happened? Well, the first thing we know happened, right? There was an immediate increase in demand, right? So from this D to D prime. So how did the market respond? What did the market do? You might say, well, they built more, they bought land, they did this, they did that. But in reality, only one thing happened in the short and intermediate term, and that is this. Prices. Prices went from A to B. Absolutely nothing occurred. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. There was no new added stock. Our microeconomists didn't go out and hire a bunch of people overnight and start filling empty land with houses. Nothing happened except this. And that is the reason why this exists in real estate. Because the real estate market is slow to respond to market changes. Now, in this case, of course, I'm showing this dramatic shock upward. We can equally have the same sort of thing in a downward spiral, and the financial crisis is an excellent example. So let's explain this and think through it a bit. Ultimately, real estate looks a little bit like this, and they refer to this as the kinked supply curve. And why does that occur? Well, here's the reality. So in this moment, the announcement comes, and in this moment, prices are escalating upward. And what's happening right now? Well, in reality, let's say developers know that the market's exploding. Then there's going to be an opportunity. Prices are going up, so developers can make more money. How are they responding? Well, they have to go out and buy land. They have to go to the local officials and get permitting. They have to then subdivide the land. They have to have engineers come in and draw up the plans to ensure that the water flows correctly and the streets flow correctly. They go through all of this process, and this process takes months, of course, if not years. Months. It takes months for us to get a single unit of our inventory online. And because of that fact that the time is so long, the only thing that the market does, the only response that the market has, is to increase price. And so when that is occurring, we're seeing this large escalation in market activity. Likewise, let's assume, for example, in this case, that just out of the blue, Amazon decides that they're only going to bring half the workforce, and everybody in the market planned to go all out and supply for the entire number of bodies that they originally said they were going to bring on. So what happens at that point? Well, of course, at that point, the market overbuilds, right? So developers continue to expand and expand and expand with added supply all the way up in here, when in reality, the demand is going to be about here, because of that constraint that I've put on it artificially by Amazon announcing. And so what happens is the prices are going to collapse. And the reason is exactly the same reason why the prices went up so fast here. And that is because once you've taken down the land, planted sites, built roads, said you're going to sell lots, found builders to build those houses, built half the houses, put the foundations in, put the roofs on, you're certainly not going to stop and walk away. At least in the United States, we tend not to leave the houses unfinished. In other parts of the world, they'll finish them on over time as the interest rates change, and we can get into that in one of our lectures. But in our country, they tend to finish the units, and so we add the supply in excess of the demand that we have, and in order to get rid of it, what do we have to do? Well, of course we know. We have to see prices go down. This kinked supply curve is what makes real estate unique to all other asset classes. From an investment standpoint and from a housing market standpoint, it is what drives the difference and what creates these big troughs and peaks. It makes it interesting to study the subject of real estate.